Hola, welcome to Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes, a bilingual podcast that shares interviews with self-made millionaires, financially savvy investors, and all things financial literacy and dinero. Your host, Natalie Torres, is a two-time TEDx speaker and award-winning author, investor, and financially savvy Latina that has been featured on NBC, Telemundo, and Forbes as a financial literacy and mental health advocate. She is joined by her co-host, Vera Eatley, an author, investor, and seasoned insurance professional. So hello, Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes. We had to make this a longer episode because, well, sometimes we just get into it and we're just like, this is more than 20 minutes. So definitely fast forward if you already heard the first one, if not, rehear it. But Vera just said something so, I don't know, I always feel like she's reading my mind. She's like, you sometimes don't know what you need when you're tired or, and what struck me at that moment was thinking, how often do I stretch myself and say, well, you know what, if I can go one more hour of work or being productive within my, like the other day I was speaking to a client, I sat for almost over an hour in my chair. And so I got really cold instead of staying warm, standing up or doing something to feel better. And I could have cut it at 30 minutes. So then I could have got up and done my walk or just feel a little bit, but I almost ignored that feeling of feeling a little creative by, hey, you know what, 30 minutes with that client, then 15 minutes to walk out with my dog or play or talk to my, just something. So kind of going back to Vera and Maya, what would you say to someone like that that's constantly, I feel like sometimes I am ignoring those needs. How do you address it right then and there, I guess?
Yeah, I will have to say that first of all is place no judgment. We all do it. Again, we have to do it for survival. Like many people still have to do it for survival, because they cannot take a break or they have to finish the work or whatever. So just by noticing that that's happening, it's it's a big step. And for me personally, which I have been learning and still continue to practice, is to have compassion for myself right at that moment. Not be like, oh, why am I'm so dumb. Or why can't I just eat something? Just having a little bit of compassion of what is happening for yourself. That's kind of the second step. And at some point you'll be like, you know what, I'm going to say I need to take a break right now. I'm cold, I'm gonna warm up. It is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It might not happen the first time that you notice that you are pushing yourself, but with practice of noticing and having that compassion, self-compassion, you can start changing those patterns and those behaviors. But it's practice and it takes time.
Yeah. It's like
for that.
until you I guess like everything, awareness is the first step. And I think it's really beautiful that you keep reminding us not to judge ourselves, because it's so easy to be like, pendeja, sorry. But you know what I mean? Like, duh.
Yeah. We can be so critical.
But yeah, it's so easy to be critical. It's awful, especially as women. Like, it's like you will just tear yourself apart for no reason. Anyway, that's a whole other part 3 podcast. But Maya, can you tell us a little bit about what your experience was like with that recent workshop that you did? Did you end up having it?
Yes. So it was. I have done some other iterations of this one. This one was a little bit more structured. It was a workshop called Entretejidos, healing across generations and weaving new relationships. So it was that weekend of the snow and all that. So it ended up being just 2 families, but that was great. It was great. So it was a space for adult children of immigrant and their parents to come together. Any age range. It was open to any age range, about older than 18 years old. So we have 2 parents and 2 adult children who came in, and we did just we pretty much just had a space to get to know each other better in a more playful way. We did some writing, some poems together. We did some drawings, and shared together in family. And also we did some token of a little heart, and we gave each other, the families were giving each other messages of what they want to keep in their hearts. And I think it was very, very successful in a way that it was just like an entry point. This, I think, it was new for the families too, especially to be with your parent and your child together, parents who were immigrant and children who were born and raised here in the United States, who have completely different experience as Latine that we have as immigrants. So it was really beautiful to see how there were some connections, of cultural connections, of backgrounds, and like, oh yeah, we connect in this, in my Mexicanidad or Colombianidad or whatever, but they are having their own experience as Latine, growing up here in the States. What I've noticed is that the parents were more of our generation, and the children were in their early 20s, late teens. So that showed me that this generation, our generation, is opening up for more of this work of different ways to heal, different ways to be in the world, which is great. I was hoping that my parents, my parents' generation will come as well to keep healing this. But I really appreciated how our generation is so open, to bring in more healing in different ways. And of course their children were like, yeah, I'll do it. Like they
Yeah.
were even more open to do this. So I think that gave me hope. That gave me like a lot of excitement to see that. And even I know, like, when our generation is healing, we are healing our parents' generation at the same time. So that was one of my, I was hoping more generations, a mix of generations, but that made me think, okay, well, this is, I feel like our generation, me being in 43, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I call in my generation. We are open into breaking those cycles, and bringing in more tools, even not bringing new tools, but like going back to things that we know have been there for a long time. So that was very special to see that. And the younger generations, it's coming even more naturally to them.
I love you saying that because I wish my parents and I can attend your in person, because it's just that we're immigrant refugees, but I was a baby when they came here. So I had a very different experience, but English is my second language. I definitely had a lot of that survival struggle mode. And we always often feel we're not enough, especially when it comes, not just with our money, right? Like, it's like, oh, okay, will I make enough? Will I be enough, or whatever? But you struck a chord. And I'm like, ooh, this is like my therapy session. My therapist will love me more this week when I'm like, oh yeah, I learned something new. You said it well, where it's being open to see where we have a lot of similarities, and then to also like voice our experiences so that maybe they can understand it a little better. Just recently, we're talking about mental health within my nieces and nephews that are dealing with different things that we didn't deal with. Granted, even if they were born and raised here, in the last 2 decades. And my defensive side to my nieces and nephews, I was like, well, if they grew up in a world where social media existed since they started, they grew up in a world where they literally have drills in school about, if there's a shooter, what do you do? Like, we didn't grow up with any of that. And so they have all this built-in anxiety because they're literally preparing for the worst case scenario and what they see with their feeds. And, there was this whole conversation, but it's once again, how do we connect with, like you said, multi-generational trauma? How do we address those feelings, accept the ones we're dealing with, and then hopefully feel like we are enough? And I feel like when it comes to our money, I'm always thinking that too, where it's like, I am more than enough. I have more than enough. I will continue to have more than enough. And I think it's teaching myself to say those words and understand that, and being able to practice what you just said is having that conversation with our family, because
Mhm.
especially for us Latinos, and most of us that are very close with their families, we know how impactful that can be, whether they'll help you along the way or support you, especially
Mhm.
when it comes to business, or how do you at least recognize they're in a different place than you are, right? Because that can be detrimental to your success as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing, what I was preparing for this workshop, and my own experience, right? Like it's, uh, like our parents, myself, we all come from with a whole history from our countries, right? And sometimes, yeah, sometimes generations that are born and raised here, they just see just a little glimpse, right? We can.
Mhm.
It's hard to know what these immigrant parents come with. Like they have whole lives and whole stories that they bring from their countries, that we bring from our countries. So yeah, it's interesting because then we're expecting that these newer generations are going to understand all this all this that happened back in Mexico, all this that happened back in Colombia. It's like, no, they didn't live it. They live in a different physical world, but at the same time, we as immigrants, we have so much history, so many stories, so much wisdom that we already bring with us, and we don't have the space to even share sometimes sometimes, or even like acknowledge that we have brought so much with us. And sometimes in our families, we don't even have the spaces to talk about that and share our stories of, of who we are as a whole, no, with all this background. So it was really nice, to have these poems and sharing each other of like, where each of them felt they were from. So sharing a little bit of the stories of their parents, how they saw themselves of where they were from, the adult children seeing themselves of where they are from, and just finding what are those commonalities and what are the things that make them very different, because physically they are they were born and raised in different places. But seeing those threads of, yeah, how do we connect with each other, that's my goal. That's my goal. That is not only one story, this story of the immigrant parent or this story of the Latine born and raised here, but it's a it's an entretejido. It's a
Yes,
tejido
it's
of something.
intertwined. It's
Yeah,
definitely intertwined.
many stories.
And thank you for sharing a space like that for everybody, holding a space for us. And before we wrap up, I obviously want people to know how to connect with you. You obviously spark some interest and conversation within our own, just talking about these helpful tools.
Mhm.
Before we wrap up, yes, let people know how they can find you. But what's one thing that you see why people most benefit from doing this type of art therapy, for whether it's on a daily basis or attending a workshop, because I think people would definitely love to hear that. And thank you for being a part of this, because Vera and I love having a platform like this to be able to highlight people like you that are intertwining, like we just said, intertwining everything that has to do not just with money, but literally um
Mhm.
our whole development as a person.
Yeah, like one thing that I've noticed is, and going back to two things. I think when we do this work, the work that I'm doing, and the reason I've been doing it is just to bring in that compassion, compassion to ourselves, compassion to our own stories and our own patterns. I have noticed that I have noticed once, more than once, in workshops and in one-on-one sessions, that people are like, "Oh, okay, I did this because this is what I needed to do at the moment. That this is how my body is," and also just noticing. I feel like there's with all of us, but there's like a lack of, I don't know how to call it, emotional literacy or something. Like we don't even know how to talk about emotions. Like
Nope.
we cannot distinguish them. We cannot talk about them. So I think I've seen a lot of people finding tools to actually recognize and have a little bit more of tools to talk about their own emotions, or understand, differentiate a little bit about what emotions they're feeling, and how they go through their body. So I think that those are the things that I have seen people like very taking on in the workshops. And also everybody, we all love the nervous system regulation tools because they help us. For me, I teach them a lot too, because if our body is not comfortable, our vision, our mind is not going to be clear. Our heart is not going to be open. So many times we need to actually find that comfort, literal physical comfort, to be able to have open mind and open heart for even noticing our emotions and having a clear mind for how to move forward. So I think those are the things that people can take on from the workshops and the sessions.
I love that. Well, thank you
And
so much.
to get in touch with me,
Yes.
well, so I do work on the Mayavita Expressive Arts therapy. So I have Instagram, where I put all my workshops in, and little stories and little artwork at Mayavita Expressive Arts on Instagram. So that's a good way to contact me, or on my website, which is mayavitaexpressivearts.com. So you can find me there too.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being a part of this. And we can't wait to have you, because I feel like we need to do our own sessions again. And who was laughing in the background,
Yeah.
like, yes. So for those, make sure you connect with her. And yeah, I hope for all of you that are listening or watching, find a way to, like she said, incorporate at least one thing a day alongside, to just help you work on that. Because obviously, if you don't have good health, who cares about the wealth? Because then you can't enjoy that as well. And so being able to connect every single part of your well-being is what we want to strive through too. So thank you, Maya, for being a part of this, and we
Thank
look
you so
forward to
much
having
for
you again.
having me.
To learn more about the podcast, follow us on Instagram at FinSavvy in 20 minutes and catch our interviews on YouTube. If you want to become a sponsor, hire us for your next workshop or speaking engagement, reach out to us at financiallysavvyin20minutes.com or send us a DM. All it takes is 20 minutes out of your day to become financially savvy.